Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda, and I did not make an event because I wasn't real sure if I was going to be ready at 10, and I barely did get ready, but I did. So um, some of you saw me posting last night on my personal page in the middle of the night that I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about these cookies. I finally did go to sleep, and slept a little bit, but I think I kind of maybe overdid it yesterday a little bit anyway. But I'm going to make a double batch, and thank you for joining me. I'm going to make a double batch of my shortbread cookie dough, but I'm not making shortbread. I'm going to make two separate cookies out of this, kinds of cookies out of this cookie dough. So I'm going to start by mincing some, I hope y'all can see. I went ahead and got my egg yolks. I've got cords everywhere here. I'm sure that I will live to see the day that there won't be a cord anywhere. I don't like cords. If everything in my life could be Bluetooth, that would be wonderful. I don't like cords strung everywhere. But sometimes you have to deal with cords. So get this out of the way. So I'm going to be using our little, what is this called? It's like a little mini, it's not a mini food processor because it's higher powered than a mini, but it's a food processor. I love coconut. Y'all know I love coconut. So I probably should go ahead and start beating my butter while I'm doing this. So let me back up. Now this is a double batch. I've got 2 pounds of salted butter, and I'm going to just put it in my mixer here, and it's soft, and you want to make sure your thumb indent is in the butter. If it doesn't, it's not soft enough. So you'll need to soften it in the microwave, and I would say, if you didn't leave it out, I would say do it like 9 or 10 seconds at a time. You don't want it melted. So you'll need to be careful with it. And there's some parts of the butter, if you're doing a lot, that will get softer than other parts. So check that. You may have to take some of it out and then finish softening the rest of it. So keep that in mind when you're softening butter. It's better to do it a few seconds at a time than to melt it and ruin it. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and turn this on. Hopefully that won't bother us too bad. Get this out of the way here. Mary and I both love, and I did talk to Mary this morning. I think she's probably busy right now, so she may or may not be on here. But I did talk to her. She sounded good. So I've never actually tried this before, but I'm going to mince this coconut. I want it to be, hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay. I want it to be cut small enough that it's real fine. Now, I have desiccated coconut that my friend Kathy LePage sent me, but I want sweet. So I'm using Baker's, and the desiccated is, I know I'm skipping around here, and I'll try to get focused in a minute. Desiccated is finer, but it's not sweet. So I'm using Baker's Angel Flake coconut, which is sweet. And I keep this in the refrigerator or the freezer. And to turn this, a lot of people have bought this and they don't know how it operates. This is it's real sensitive. I get pulse. To turn it, you turn it to the left, the top, and then to put it back on, you turn it to the right. So if you have trouble with it, that's what you do. And I'll tell you something else too. It works better if you've got more in it. So I'm using a full cup, little bit over a cup is what I'm using. Let's see if I can get this. Now this coconut is very moist, and moist doesn't, you can't cut moist coconut quite as good as you can. I might just go ahead and put some more of this in here. It doesn't cut quite as good as coconut that was dry, but this is so much better than dry coconut. And I'm going to get it as fine as I can. Might not get it quite fine as I want it, but, and remember, this will go bad on you. So if you buy it when it's on sale, if you find some and you want to grab 2 or 3 packages of it, put it in a Ziploc bag and either put it in the refrigerator or freezer, and it will keep for a long time. And that's one thing for bakers. Baking supplies and groceries in general right now are very expensive. You don't want to let something ruin because you neglected to put it up properly. So let's see if I can get some of this cut. Not chopping real fine, but it's chopping a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to, this is a clean paper plate. I'm just going to go ahead and take this out because I'm going to, now to open this, you turn it to the left. And I'm going to turn this in here. And then I'm going to chop up some pecans. I wanted to do the coconut first because I didn't want to get pecan meal in my coconut. To turn it on, you just turn it back to the right. I mean, to tighten it, turn it back to the right. Now, this is not quite as fine as I wanted it, but it's a lot finer than it was. And the reason I'm doing this is because these cookies have to be cut. They have to be scored and cut. And sometimes when you cut a bar cookie that's got coconut in it, the coconut strands might be a little long and they won't cut evenly. So that was my thinking behind getting that minced a little finer. And I have my oven on 325 because these cookies bake at 325, and I don't want to get coconut in the pecans, so I think I'm going to just clean this out and get a paper towel. Or another plate to put my pecans on. And I want to make sure there are not any, I guess the proper thing to do would have been to wash this, but I don't have an assistant, so I'll just wipe it off. The whole thing is I wanted this to be separate. I didn't want the coconut to have pecans, and I didn't want the pecans to have coconut, which I like both, but I just wanted them, I wanted it to be completely 2 separate cookies. Now don't worry about your butter. Your butter's fine. I'm going to add my sugar in a minute, so that can go ahead and start cooking. Start mixing. Okay. Now don't worry, I'm going to go over this recipe with y'all. I'm kind of multitasking here. Oh, that's heavy. So for a double batch, I'm going to use 3 cups of granulated sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and add that into my butter. You can't see the butter, but it's just whipped butter is all it is. And I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 cups in here. And you want to beat that a good while before you add your egg yolks. I have made so many batches of this shortbread. Let me get these out of the way. And I'm also going to make these cookies a little thinner than what I normally make the shortbread. So I'm doing, although I'm using the same recipe, I'm doing a little bit different technique. And when you're going through your pecans, you need to make sure there's not any little bitter stuff in them, or any shells or hulls. So you always want to look at your pecans. And I have some pecan meal in the freezer, but I don't want this as fine as pecan meal, but I want it finer than what I would chop them if I did it by hand. So that's why I'm going to use the food processor. Y'all know I'm very generous with, and anytime I'm using pecans, I'm very generous with them. So if I say a cup, it's probably about a cup and a half for you. I love pecans. And these are those real good pecans. I know that Fran Poe has sent us some, and I'm not sure who sent these, but I know Fran sent them to us. And I also keep nuts in the freezer. And anytime you are using, that's probably not a good idea for me to stick my hand in that with this on. Yes, that's some. No, it is in there. I want to get that little tiny piece of coconut out. Anytime you have excess nuts, like if you buy a bunch from a fundraiser or something at Christmas time or the holidays, don't leave them just sitting out. Don't leave them sitting at room temperature or sitting out. They need to be properly bagged and in the freezer, because if you don't, they're going to get very old and they'll have a really bad taste to them. I've thrown away pecans that I've bought before that were old pecans, and you'll know because they have a smell to them, and you don't want to go to all the trouble to make something good and then pecans ruin it, or whatever kind of nuts you're using. So just make sure that you store them properly. So this is probably, maybe not quite a cup and a half. It's probably about a cup and a fourth. I just dusted that off here. And I would never put them in the freezer like this. You want to make sure the air is out of them, and then put them inside a freezer Ziploc bag. And I want these chopped real fine. I'm going to go ahead and add my eggs to my, I'm going to show y'all what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and add my eggs to my, I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Nope, you can't. Let's see here. It's real white. The longer you beat butter, the whiter it's going to be. And you want to make sure that that sugar is mixed really good before you add your eggs, because you don't want your cookie dough gritty. This is 6 large egg yolks. Get this out of the way here. Now, you know, everybody cooks different. No two people cook alike. I just like to do things a certain way. You know, every one of us has our strengths, and we have our weaknesses. And I have plenty of those, just like, you know, we're all human. But I like, when I'm baking, I like for my stuff to be done a certain way. So I'm going to show y'all how fine I've got these. They're, at the bottom, they're going to be a little bit more finer, and it's not meal, because meal is going to be super, super fine. But these are pretty fine. All right, let me pour this out in here. Then I'll get that out of the way. And then we're going to start adding our flour to our dough. Now this shortbread recipe that I make, and so many of y'all have bought it, it has 4 ingredients in it. That's all it's got in it. Now I'm going to get me some room here because I need the room. Okay. Now every batch of shortbread, this is exactly how I do my shortbread. All of it takes time. You know, it's you can rush anything, and it might be okay, but then there's times when you rush something and it's not okay. So I like to put my drinks in the freezer and get them like a little ice in them. I think the ice is almost all melted out of that, but I drink one of these a day, and they are so good. I drink 7-Up, but I like Sprite better. All right. Now this is all-purpose flour, and it's 4.5 cups a batch, so we're going to do 9 cups. And I'll let y'all in a little secret. If you want to keep up with your flour, just write it on your parchment here. And I'm going to turn this down and make a little tally every time you add your flour. And I usually do it in thirds or in halves is what I usually do. Okay, so that's 1. That's 2. This is 3. And I know everybody has their favorite flour. I like Gold Medal. That's what I like to use. And I've used it for many, many years. And I know there's a lot of good brands out there. And I certainly am not knocking any other brand, but I like Gold Medal. So I just made me three little tallies there. Some more of this out of the way. I got my bowl scraper here. I love this thing. Now, and this is Pampered Chef, and it comes in a set with the big scraper and a bowl scraper. I love the bowl scraper, and I'd buy the set just for this, but I like my Tico or Fat Daddy-O bench scraper. And the reason I like this is because it's so super thin, and it's also got measurements on it, and I use this to cut my dough when I start putting it in the pans. All right, let's do 3 more cups. And you want to make sure that this gets mixed in here real good. You don't want to have any flour in the bottom of your bowl. And the way I did this when I was making boxes and boxes and boxes of it, I weighed the flour, and it was much quicker and much easier. That's 2. And that's 3. And so what I did is I just put, I figured out, calculated how many ounces I needed for my flour, and then I had my scales out and I measured it, and I put it in bowls. So when I got ready to to add the flour, I didn't have to stop and count and do all this tallying and everything. If you're making large batches of stuff and you invest in a small kitchen scale, they're not that expensive. Pampered Chef used to have one. We don't have them anymore. But the one I'm using today is, I think I got it at, I don't know, probably got it at Home Goods or somewhere, or TJ Maxx. And they're, or Amazon, they're probably, I don't know, less than $20. And they're really good for that, especially if you're doing large batches of stuff. It makes it a lot easier to weigh it versus dipping, dishing the cups out at a time. Now this is a big mixer, and I can do 3 batches in here at once, but I just decided to use this one instead of my other one because it does mix it better. This is a 1.0 horsepower KitchenAid, and it handles really big, tough jobs. Okay, there's no flour in the bottom, so I'm going to add my last 3 cups. And when you're making lots and lots of shortbread, it takes bags and bags and bags of flour. One. This is 2. This is 3. And I always keep my little levelers in here. These are Pampered Chef too. I usually keep a whole bunch of these in my, especially in flour and stuff like that. You want to get an even cup with. It's easy to just keep them in there, stuck in there. Now I have a flour guard. I didn't use it today because I'm only making this one batch. When I was making all that shortbread back before Christmas and then after Christmas, I would, oh my goodness, I would make triple batches, which was 3 batches at a time. And I usually would do like 5 triple batches before I stopped. And believe me, that is a lot of work, especially when you weigh everything. Then after you get the dough made, I weigh that out. I make sure that each pan has exactly the same amount as the next pan has got. I'll show you how I do it in just a little bit. I'll get this flour put up. And also this little stand, this little bottom that this mixer's on, this keeps you from picking it up. It just slides across your counter. And it really makes all the difference in the world when you're trying not to put a lot of weight on your arms or shoulders. Makes a lot of difference. All right, I'm going to show y'all this. When it starts separating from the bowl, you know that your dough is ready. And see, the bowl is clean in the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but I'm fixing to get it out, put it on a fresh piece of parchment, and then wash my hands here because I'm going to be picking up the dough. And let me go grab my hands clean. My counter clean because everything has to be done in sections with me. Sometimes I think people probably laugh at me the way I do things, but I do them the way it works for me. Everybody has to do things that works for them. And it doesn't mean your way's right or wrong. It doesn't mean my way is right or wrong. It just means this is how I do it. All right, let me get me a fresh piece of parchment here. Now, if you want your parchment to stay on your paper, which I usually do, but I didn't this time, you just wipe your counter off and the dampness will help it stick to it. And this is heavy. And this is not near as heavy as it usually is with a triple batch. But it's heavy. I'll clean that mixer in a little bit. But you'll see how it just almost completely falls off the beater. And this is the beater that I use. You know, most people know what beater to use, and some of your mixers will tell you what to use. I know our Pampered Chef mixer tells you what to use for what. But let me get this out of the way here. I'm going to just dump this out here. That is some good cookie dough. It always makes me so happy, and you can always tell, for those of us who bake, you want your cookie dough to just completely come out of the bowl. They're not sticky. We'll get this out of the way. That bowl by itself's heavy. Saying nothing about when you get it full of cookie dough. Okay. Now I usually just kind of make like a log. And I know about what this should weigh. But it's been a few days since I've made this. So where's my scales at? Oh, they're behind me. I need to get a little wrap here to put on them. And you just want to open your scales up, and they all have different units. You can do grams, pounds, ounces. I'm going to do ounces on this one, and then I'm going to set this on top. And this right here doesn't weigh anything. If it did weigh something, you would need to touch the little 0, or either it might say, I think it's Tara, T-A-R-A or something. I'm not sure if that's the one or not, but I'm going to divide this. Actually, I'm going to divide it in half. I don't have 3 batches. I have 2. I'm going to weigh this. That's 43.5 ounces. That's 53. That's about 53. So let me see what this is here. That's 54 3/4. I had it pretty close. Now I put my, okay, it's a little over 53 each. I put my bowl over there, but luckily I didn't put it in the sink. So I'm going to bring it back over here and mix the one with coconut, and then I'm going to mix the other one with pecans. And I could have just left it in the mixer, and that's probably what I should have done, but I'm going to try to do it with my hands if I can. Take this ring off. Watch. There's my hands again. Do y'all talk to yourself when you're cooking? I tend to do that. Mom used to do it. Let me see now. I can just hear her talking. Okay, I'm going to do the coconut first because the pecans will get in the bowl, and I'm going to do the coconut first. And I'm going to pour about a little over, probably about 3/4 in here. And I'm just going to mix this in. You don't want it to have, you don't want to get big bites of coconut. You want it to kind of be evenly distributed. And I definitely would recommend just doing this with the mixer instead of your hands. But I just didn't want to put that back in there. So I'm going to do it with my hands. Now, anytime you make anything with coconut or nuts, the longer it sets, the better it's going to taste. That flavor is going to just set in there, and it's going to really taste good. Let me turn this back out. So I'll show you where I've got the coconut, and right there, and over here, you want to get that mixed in better than what it is. You want it more evenly distributed is what I'm trying to say. And I would put the rest of that coconut in there, but my arms are already tired. So I think I'm going to just let this go for now, and hopefully this will be okay. And I will measure, weigh this again, because after I add that coconut, it's gonna change the weight of it, and I'm gonna divide this between 3 pans. So I'll just put this over like this. I'll get another piece of parchment. Now, I bought this parchment at Town Talk. I have a whole case of it. It had 10,000 sheets in it. I bought it for $6, and I've had this parchment probably for, oh goodness, probably 10 years. And I probably haven't even used 1,000 sheets, and I use it all the time. So I don't consider myself wasting by using this parchment like I do, because it really does make it easier when you're doing the cleanup. It's excellent for cleanup. All right, now let's see how much of this I want in here. I'm not going to put it all, but I'm going to put, it's probably going to be about a cup that I'm putting in, and that was probably about a cup of coconut. And I will definitely let y'all know when I'll put the correct amount when I do the recipe. Now, you see how that pecan's spilling over? That's why it would be much easier to mix this with a mixer than me trying to do it by hand. But I don't want to put that back in there. Probably defeating my own purpose by not using the mixer, but I think I could get it mixed up. It's hot in this kitchen. We have a window unit in the utility room, which helps when you have the oven on. But I get hot. Anything I do, I get hot. And that's why y'all see me wear a lot of short sleeves, because I'm not wearing long sleeves in the summertime when I'm literally burning up. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever bought Keebler pecan sandies in the store or not, but this is going to remind you a little bit of those. They have little tiny pieces of chips of pecans in them. And I think I'm going to call that a day on here. And I'll have to weigh these and get this other out of the way here. And I do not make my shortbread this thin, but I want these to be real crispy. So I'm making the pans thinner than what I normally do. Let's see, what am I looking for? So I'm going to divide it out a little more evenly. Okay, let me get my scales back out. I guess I needed that. Just on paper. Okay, so this is 58 ounces. So what is 58? I have to do my math here. Into 3. About 19 ounces, not quite, about 19 ounces a pan. What I want to divide this into. Now, you might say, what is the use of doing all of this? But when you're pressing out your cookie dough in the pans, you want it to be as even as possible, because it's going to cook uneven if you don't. And that's another reason that I like to make sure that I've got the exact amount in each pan. So that one's 21. That one was 17. Okay, so these are about 19 inches, 19 ounces per pan is what I want. So I'm going to put this aside here, and then I'm going to weigh mine with the coconut. And what I'll do is I'll do a pan of each and show y'all, and that way I won't keep y'all all day here while I'm weighing out and doing these cookies. Oh, I got to put my coconut in this. No, I've already put my coconut in it. What am I saying? What am I doing? Okay, that's 16. Get about 3 more ounces. That's 19. Can't see the coconut because it's white. You get kind of good at guessing the weight because I've done it so much that it's pretty easy for me to guess. And this little bench scraper here makes it real easy too. Okay, so they're all about 19 inches each. Now I just need to wipe this off and get my pans out. And then I'll get it pressed out in the pan and get a couple of pans in the oven. And I need to get a But you do not need to butter these pans. And you need to use non-stick pans. And these pans that I use are really cheap pans. I got most of them at Dollar General store. Sometimes you can get them at a grocery store. The brand is Good Cook. And they make the shortbread better than any expensive pan you can use. So you do not need anything fancy to make this. So I'm going to press out a pan of coconut, and then I'll press out a pan of the pecans. And I like to do this in sections just because it kind of helps me, know about how much is going to go in there. You just press it out. Make sure you get the corners. Make sure you have it in the corners. And this takes energy. It takes strength to press this cookie dough out. I did this so much back in November that there was days I could barely even move my arms. My arms hurt so bad, and my hands. And of course, if you're making this to sell, you use gloves. I'm not this, but if I was making it to sell, I would have gloves on. If you have any thin spots in your pan, you can kind of borrow a little bit from one space and kind of fill in the empty spots. And I get 20 pieces out of the pan. So you do 4 across and you do 5 down. And I have one of the rollers where you can cut it, but you can't do it with this pan, with these pans, because I don't use parchment in here. If I use parchment in the bottom of the pans, I could do the roller and then put it back in there. But then the bottom of the cookie wouldn't get, it would be too pale. So I don't use parchment. I just put it straight in the pan like this. and then I just kind of guess it. But you see that, and when I bag the shortbread and when I'm selling it and boxing it, I make sure that I bag it out of the same batch. I know what pans, so every batch, and then it gets weighed again after it gets in the bag, and in the box it gets weighed again. So there's like there's like 4 or 5 weighings when I make this to sale, to make sure, even though you might have some smaller pieces, to make sure that, and I'm not selling this, so y'all don't think I'm doing this to sale, because I'm not. I'm just showing you what all goes into and how much time is involved when you're making this to sale. So I'll just do it in half, and again, I just guess, because I know the weight's going to be the same anyway. And you're scoring it. You're not pressing it all the way down. You're scoring it. When it comes out of the oven, as soon as it comes out of the oven, that's when it has to be cut all the way down. And I use another one of these to cut it, because you don't want to use the same one that you use raw cookie dough with. You use another cutter to do the cutting after it gets done. Lots of washing dishes involved when you're cooking and baking. And I have little stamps that I always stamp these. I may not stamp this right now, but not completely even, but that's 20 pieces, and that's how it gets done. Now I'm going to set it over here until I get the other one, the pecan one, because I want to put them both in the oven at the same time. Let me get my hands washed to get the coconut off. Now this pecan is going to be a little more crumbly than the coconut, because coconut has moisture in it and the pecans don't. So now I will do the rest of this, because I'll cook all this before I stop. And another thing I do is, when I'm cooking, I have cold packs that I have every bit of this cookie dough on, to keep it cold. And it's so cold, when I take it out to press it on the pan, it's stiff. It's so stiff that it takes that much more energy to press it out, because the cookie dough is so cold. And that's another thing that I do when I'm making it to sale. And then it takes it 20 minutes to cook. Sometimes I rotate the pans while it's cooking in the oven, and I might cook it like 21 or 22 minutes, but as a rule, it takes about 20 minutes to cook 2 pans, and I do not use the bottom rack. I know that most people that bake, I know bakers, of course, they have professional ovens. Mine's not professional. Use every rack in the oven to fill up stuff. I don't. I use the top rack to bake, so I bake two cookies, 2 pans at a time is what I bake. Which when you're doing, let's see, 5 times 3 is 15. You're doing about 50 pans. If you make 5 triple batches, you're baking about 50 pans of shortbread before you're finished. So you're rotating pans, you're cooling the shortbread, you're washing pans, you're constantly moving stuff around because you run out of counter space. I cool everything in the utility room, because that's where I have my window air conditioner, so it cools it, and I have a lot of space in there. I have a chest freezer, and then my counters, and that's where I put my pads, my hot pads, to cool the shortbread, because it cannot be taken out of the pan until it is 100% cold. If you take it out before then, you're going to tear your shortbread up. Your cookies will not come out whole. And I do break some every once in a while, but I don't break them often. And some cookies may have arrived broken, but I have never put a broken cookie in a bag in a box that I've sold. If it breaks, it goes in a pile for snacks. And if we don't eat it, then I give it away. The little pieces, scraps. Now you can tell that this is full of the pecans, and this is going to give this a lot of flavor, and it's going to be really, really good. All right. Okay, I'm going to get these in the oven, set the timer for about 18 minutes, and you can see how fine the pecans are on there. And then I'll take pictures and post them after these get done. I had thought I might do a second video, but I don't think I will, because y'all have seen me take the shortbread out before. I guess I probably should ask, without getting too close to the camera, do y'all want me to come back and show you how I score it? I mean, how I cut it as soon as it comes out of the oven? Let me know if you do. If you don't, then I'll just take pictures. So if I get enough people say, yeah, come back and show me, then I will. In the meantime, I got to get this mess cleaned up in the kitchen, get the rest of these patted out into pans. So let me know what you think, and I will see y'all again later. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, and stay cool if it's hot where you're at. Lord knows it is hot here. So I'll see y'all later. Be sure to be kind and always count your blessings.